Wonderful. Okay, we're good. All right, so if you want to come into a comfortable seat, you can sit yourself up onto a block or onto a bolster if you like. Otherwise, just coming to a simple cross-legged on the floor, or you can sit on your knees if you prefer. And really get a sense of yourself anchored down into the ground. You might like to close your eyes here or turn your gaze towards the floor. Lift your spine up nice and tall and allow your hands just to rest in your lap or on your knees. And welcome to your practice. We're going to focus today on really that connection that we have with the ground, with the earth. A nice grounding practice. You might be feeling the effects of kind of uprising around the world, and maybe the shift from isolation back into some sense of normality in your life, perhaps the news that's happening at the moment around racial inequality in the world that might also be stirring you up. So just using this practice today to really bring yourself into your body and feel the connection that you have with the earth, and give yourself some time to come out of that space of maybe busyness in the mind, a sense of unsettledness in the heart, and really ground yourself and center yourself. So just taking a moment here just to notice how you feel. And taking a few deep breaths to really bring yourself into your body. We can do that together. Maybe deep breath in, filling up your belly. You might like to open your mouth and let your breath out as a sigh. Do a couple more of those. And when you've done a couple of those sighing breaths, just letting your breath fall into its natural rhythm. In and out through the nose as best you can. You might gently constrict the back of your throat a little bit to control the movement of breath in and out, that ujjayi breath, circulating the breath in the body. And I'd like to start our practice today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we practice, wherever you are. If you're in Australia, you might know the traditional owners of your land. I often do an acknowledgement at the start of in-person classes and definitely in workshops and events, and sometimes I forget. And I want to acknowledge that that's my privilege to be able to forget sometimes. I haven't been doing it when I've been practicing online, but I'd like to today, and to continue to do that again. And so I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I am practicing today. In particular, the people who have looked after this land, the Dudarawa, the Yaitmatang, the Tangarang, whoever has called this land home and had custodianship of it. And I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Take a few more breaths here. Really drawing your breath deep down into your belly, and even perhaps visualizing extending that breath past that space and down like roots into the earth. And then you can start to just shrug your shoulders up and back a few times. So noticing how that feels. A little shrug, all the shrugs in one direction, you might keep your eyes closed as you move, and then shrugging your shoulders up and forward. So coming up and forward, moving in the other direction. Just a little bit of mobilization through your shoulders. You might drop your head to one side and the other side, stretching out through your neck, and then drop your chin down towards your chest. And then gently lift the head back up again. And then we're going to make our way all the way up to stand. So you can just find your way towards the top of your mat and facing with your feet pointing straight forwards, feet about hips distance apart, and really anchor your feet down into the ground. Soften your knees so that you're not locking your knees. And then send your tailbone all the way down towards the floor. Lift up through your spine. You might close your eyes again as you let your arms just rest down beside you. Again, taking a few breaths here as you really press down through the big toe mound, the outside edge of your foot, inner and outer heels. And as you press down through those feet, you find the lift up. So we press down to lift and support ourselves. And then next inhale, we're going to take the arms out to the sides. If you're drawing a big sun out to the sides, fingertips reaching all the way up, stretch to the sky. And then bring your hands down, pointing the palms towards the floor. Draw your hands down in front of your body, towards the ground. Inhale, send your arms all the way up. Stretch up, reach up. And then exhale, palms face down towards the earth as you draw your hands down. And just 3 more sun breaths like this. We start to link movement with breath, drawing that ujjayi breath into your body, stretching tall. And then exhaling this grounding as you draw your hands, palms face down towards the earth. 2 more on your own. You can close your eyes and feel the movement from the inside. The last one. And then we're going to take an inhale and reach the hands up, and this time you can come all the way up onto your toes. So as you lift up and hands lift up, heels lift, lifting all the way up onto your toes, stretching your fingertips high. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears. Keep lifting, keep reaching. Buttocks engage as you stretch tall. 1 more breath in. Exhale, lower your hands down, gently lower your heels all the way down to the earth again. Let's inhale, stretch tall, we reach up. Exhale, this time hands through the center line, soften your knees, come down through a forward fold. So coming all the way down, taking your hands towards the earth. You might like to grab a block here, particularly if your lower back is sensitive, and just rest your hands on a block. Otherwise, taking your hands all the way to the floor. Or you could even take hold of either elbow if you like, and just have a little sway from side to side in a ragdoll stretch. So letting your arms and your head be heavy, and let the heaviness draw your spine long. Take another nice deep breath in here. And exhale it out. Release your hands to the floor or to your shins. Take an inhale and halfway lift, so flat back, drawing your heart forward. Exhale, forward fold. And then anchor through your feet and slowly roll yourself all the way back up to stand again. Sweep your hands to the sky, stretch tall. Exhale, bring hands to the heart. Let's just do 1 more of those half sun salutes. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, soften your knees, come down through forward fold, supporting your lower back with your core. Bring your fingertips to the floor or shins, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. And then anchor through your feet, soft knees, roll yourself all the way to stand again, lifting up through the inner thighs, hands reach tall. Exhale, hands to your heart. Let's inhale, hands up, reach up. Exhale, come down through forward fold. Halfway lift. Heart draws forwards, lengthen your spine. And then we're going to step back to our knees. So stepping your feet back and dropping down to your knees. Just bring your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Let's do 3 rounds of cat-cow from here. Take an inhale to drop your belly, lift your tailbone, draw your heart forward, shoulder blades together. Exhale, press through your hands, press through your shins, tops of the feet, round your spine, tucking your chin. Do 2 more. Inhale, lift your tailbone, lift your chest. Exhale, round through your spine. 1 more on your own, linking movement with breath. Really feeling that sense of pressing into the floor to find that openness through the back of your body. And then come back to neutral spine. Maybe walk your hands slightly further forwards and then lower yourself all the way down onto your belly. Find a little baby cobra here. So press into the tops of your feet, the big toes press down, and hands gently press into the mat as you lift your chest. Just stay there for the breath out. Lengthen the back of your neck. Draw your shoulder blades onto the back of your heart, elbows draw in, and then exhale, lower back down again. I'm going to press up to all fours. And then send your hips all the way back and find child's pose. So hips can draw all the way back to your heels. If that's too much for you, keep them slightly lifted, letting your head rest down on the floor or on stacked hands. Nice deep breath in here. Exhale it out. And then inhale, come forwards again to knees, tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back and find a downward facing dog. You might like to bring a little bit of movement into this first down dog. You want to start by pressing into your hands and spreading your fingers and really lengthening your spine, shoulders broad. And then maybe there's a little bend of one knee and drawing the opposite heel towards the floor as you stretch out through the side body, swaying your hips from side to side. Just bringing some little bends into the knees as you shift your hips from side to side. Little twisty side bendy down dogs. And then coming back to neutral, take a breath in. We're going to shift all the way up into the toes and then roll your spine forward so that you come forwards to plank. And you might need to drop your knees down right here. That's absolutely fine. Keep this nice integrity through your core. As you exhale, press into your hands, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So really anchoring down through the rims of the palms and the fingers. Roll onto your toes and then roll your spine forward, shifting your shoulders over your wrists, plank pose. Knees can come down if they need to. Bend your knees, exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Let's do 1 more like that. Come to your toes, lift up and forwards, finding plank pose, pressing the floor away, and then bend your knees, lift your hips all the way up and back, downward facing dog. Let's take the right leg to the sky. Draw your right heel to your buttock, lift your right knee up. You can drop down to your left knee for this if that's too strong for you. Take a breath in. And then exhale, square the hips. You're going to step the right foot through between the hands, drop down onto your left knee if you haven't already, and come up into a low lunge. So lift your torso up and then lift your hands to the sky. Take a couple of breaths here. Making sure that you don't kind of poke your ribs out and arch your lower back. Keep lengthening down through your tailbone so you're still pressing down into the floor to find this lift. And then we're going to take the hands down towards the floor. Keep your left hand down. Peel your right arm all the way up towards the sky for a twist. And then take right hand down, stepping all the way back through to downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, come to your toes. Shift yourself forwards to plank pose. And maybe dropping the knees to the floor here as elbows draw in. Lower yourself all the way onto your belly. Little baby cobra, or maybe pressing up a little bit higher. And lowering back down to the floor again. Keep the elbows drawing in. Tuck your toes, press up either to knees or all the way onto full plank. Lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in and out here. Anchor your hands, inner armpits roll towards each other. Left leg lifts to the sky. You might drop down to your right knee if you need to. Draw the heel to the buttock, lift your left knee up to the ceiling. If you're on the right foot, not the right knee, keep the right knee pointing forwards. And keep your shoulders square towards the floor. And then square your hips. Send your left foot forwards between your hands, right knee down. Inhale up into low lunge. Settle your breath here. Remembering to anchor down through that left big toe, press down through the right shin, and draw your inner thighs in towards each other. Lift up, reach up. One more breath there. Hands down to the floor, right hand stays down. That's inhale, peel your left arm to the sky. And as you just anchor down through that right hand, you can find length and space across your chest. Let's take left hand to the floor, step all the way back through to downward facing dog. You can stay here, or we can do one more, come to the toes, roll forwards to plank pose, hovering there, and then either coming down to the knees or staying on your toes, come down through chaturanga, halfway or all the way. Inhale up into cobra, maybe there's an upward facing dog in your practice now. And then exhaling, coming back to downward facing dog. Take a breath in. And a smooth breath out through the nose if you can. And then bend your knees. Look forwards towards your hands. Step your feet all the way towards the front of the mat. Hands can come to a block if they need to, halfway lift. Exhaling, softening the knees, forward fold. And then slowly roll yourself all the way to stand. So buttocks engage, inner thighs engage, press down through your feet to grow tall. Hands high. Exhale, bring hands to the heart. Just take a breath in and out here. And just making sure that your feet are hips distance apart. We're going to take the arms forward, so reaching your fingertips forwards and then sitting down as if you were sitting down into a chair. So powerful pose. Inner thighs are drawing up as you send your tailbone down and back. You might want to just soften the corners of your lips and your eyes. Nice and smooth through the breath. An option to stay here or to lift up onto your toes. So you lift your heels and then sink the hips down even further perhaps. Keeping the smile on your lips if you can. Keep breathing. And then from there, lifting the hands all the way high and then heels down, hands to the heart. Take a breath. Notice the energy pulsing through your legs perhaps. All right, take the hands down by your sides. And then keeping your weight into your right foot. We're just going to lift the arms and then lift the left knee. So coming into a balance. So reach your hands up high as that left knee lifts. And then from there, we're just going to tilt forwards, taking the left leg back behind you and coming into a warrior shape. So hands can come down beside you or they can reach forwards. Spread the toes of the left foot. You can have the toes on the floor if you need to. Let's come back again. So lifting the left knee, hands reach up. And then exhaling, taking the leg back and tilting forwards. Option to hands beside you. Inhale, last time, lift the leg. Grow tall. Hands can reach up. Exhale, taking the leg back behind you. Toes might be on the floor or they're lifted. Hover there for a moment. And then bend your front knee. We're going to step all the way back into a high lunge. So back toes on the floor this time. Lift your hands to the sky. Nice deep breaths. And take another breath in. As we exhale, we're going to open to warrior two. So back heel to the floor, right knee stacked over your ankle. Reach your hands out at shoulder height. Maybe looking over those right fingertips. And just making sure that right knee stacked over the ankle and pointing forwards over the middle toes. Take another breath there. And then we're going to straighten the right leg and come into triangle. So you might grab your block if you've got a block handy or anything that you can rest your hand onto, or just take your hand to your shin. if you need a little bit more height. Take your left hand either to your hip or stretch it all the way up towards the sky. Sending your right knee still over towards the front of the mat. And then you might turn your head towards the left fingertips. Nice, smooth breaths. And then from here, bend your right knee, take an inhale, come back up through warrior two, turn your right palm to the sky, reverse your warrior, so nice counter stretch through the right side of the body. And then from there, we're going to windmill the hands all the way down to frame the front foot. Step your way back into plank pose, knees down or off the mat, lower yourself all the way to the floor. So shifting forwards and then shoulder blades onto the back of the heart as you lower yourself down. Just take a moment to take your hands underneath your head. Give your hips a little wiggle from side to side. And from there, we're going to bend the right knee, draw the right heel to the buttock, take your right hand behind you and draw the heel to the buttock. Nice stretch to the front of that right quad. You might lift yourself up onto your left elbow. And then releasing that foot, swapping over. So right hand down, left hand behind you. Bend your left knee, draw the left heel to the buttock. You can lift yourself up on your right elbow if that feels okay for your back. If you can't reach the foot, that's fine. Just keep the heel drawing towards you with your own strength. Or you could use a strap if you've got one handy. And then releasing the foot. Bring both hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale into a little cobra. Exhale back into downward facing dog. Nice deep breath in. Smooth breath out. Bend your knees, look forwards to your hands. Step your feet all the way forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Sink your hips nice and deep, sweep your hands up. Find chair pose, hands lifting as tailbone draws back. And then exhaling, bringing hands to your heart. Let's take the weight into the left foot. Inhale, right knee lifts, hands lift. Exhale back into warrior three. Hands might come down beside you or you can stretch them forward straight away. Inhale to come back up again, lifting the left knee, hands lift tall. And tilting into your balance again. Maybe the toes are on the floor if you need that little bit of extra support. Last one, lifting up. And then sending the leg behind you for your balance. Hold there. Bend the front knee, step back with as much control as you can muster into your high lunge. Soften the shoulders, soften your jaw, take a couple of breaths here. And we're going to open to warrior two on the other side, so back heel down, open your hands out at shoulder height. Again, just watching that left knee doesn't track to the side, keep it anchored over the ankle, so that left buttock is working to hold your leg in shape. I'm going to take it into triangle pose from here, Trikonasana. So extend your left leg towards straight, not locking the knee, and then start to tilt, keeping length through your spine, left hand down, right hand to the sky. So use a prop if you need to, or take your hand to your shin for a little less depth. Particularly if you start to collapse, we want to try and keep openness through the chest. Keep anchoring down through your feet so that we press down to lift up. 2 more breaths, feel them fully. That Ujjayi breath, cycling your breath through your body. And then bend your knee, come back up through warrior two and take it into your reverse warrior. So left hand lifting up for that counter stretch. And from there, windmill your hands all the way down to the mat. We're going to step back to plank pose, shift forwards. And then either knees on the mat or off the mat, lower yourself all the way down to your belly again. You're going to take your hands down beside you, chin to the mat, and then come up into locust pose from here. So lifting the chest and the arms, and if it feels okay for you, lifting your legs too, spreading your toes. Again, make sure that there's softness through your jaw and your face, and your neck's nice and long. And keep breathing. You might stay here, you might interlace your fingers and draw your knuckles back. Some of you might bend your knees, take hold of the outsides of your feet or ankles, draw your inner thighs towards each other and lift up into bow pose. Dvanurasana or Dhanurasana. Eye gaze slightly forwards. 2 more breaths if you can. Shoulder blades onto the back of your heart. And then releasing all the way to the floor, releasing your legs. And hands underneath your shoulders, lift up into a little cobra. Exhale down. Press yourself up and back. Downward facing dog. Remember, child's pose is here for you if you need a little rest. Couple of breaths in down dog or child's pose. From here, we'll bend the knees, look forward to the hands, step or float your feet all the way towards the front of the mat, forward fold. And then growing from the ground up, sink your hips, sweep your hands up, find chair pose. Nice deep breath in. Smooth breath out, maybe sink a little deeper. And then lifting all the way tall. Straight legs, hands to the sky. Exhale, bring hands to your heart. Just let your arms rest down beside you for a moment. Take a few breaths here. Noticing how your body feels. Feeling grounded through your feet. And then opening your eyes and taking your eye gaze in front of you, something that's not moving that you can focus your gaze on. We're going to take the weight into left foot again. This time we're going to bend the right knee and take your right hand to the outside of your right foot for dancer's pose. So you can hold the ankle or you can hold the foot and then take your left hand up towards the sky. So if you're close to a wall and you're really wobbly, you could take your hand and just rest it against the wall. Otherwise, finding your balance, foot pointing, knee pointing down towards the floor. And then if you want to go a little bit further, start to press your foot into your hand as you lift your left hand high. Press that right foot back behind you, straight back behind you. Keep breathing. Notice if you start to hold your breath, maybe come out a bit until you can breathe again. One more breath in. Exhale, release, and bring that right knee all the way up. Hands reach high. Exhale, step back, high lunge. Take an inhale there. Exhale, draw your elbows down. Draw your heart forwards. We'll do 2 more like that. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Last one. Really feeling that sense of drawing shoulder blades into the back of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, open, warrior 2. Let's inhale, take your hands, your left hand high for reverse warrior. And then exhale, we're going to take the hands down into half moon. So taking your left hand to the, either to the block or the floor in front of your left foot. So start to take the weight into that left leg and lift your right leg and send the heel back behind you. So just balancing on that left foot, right hand to your right hip. Really extend your right heel back behind you, opening your chest. And maybe you take the right hand to the sky. If this is super challenging for you, please stay here. You can even just play around with placing the back foot onto the floor and then lifting it up again. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit, you might see if you can bend your right knee, And take your right hand behind you and catch hold of the foot. And then as if you were in bow pose or dancer's pose, kick the foot back into the hand. Chapasana. Just little things to play with. Don't worry if you're not there. Wherever you are, breathe and smile. If you're in Chapasana, release the foot. Extend your right hand high and then slowly step your foot back into Warrior Two. Take a breath. Left hand to the sky, inhale, reverse. Exhale, turn your feet all the way to the right side so that you come into a wide-legged stance on your mat. Feet parallel, hands to your hips. Take an inhale here. Soften your knees, come into a forward fold. Hands all the way to the floor or onto a block if you prefer. Take a halfway lift here onto your fingertips, lift your chest. Exhale, fold. You might like to take your hands all the way out to the outsides of your feet or walk your hands underneath your body, just depending on how open you are. Keep your hands on a block if your lower back is sensitive. And one more breath here. Keep pressing down through your feet to lift your tailbone and draw your heart towards the floor. And then slowly lift your chest. Turn your left toes towards the front of the mat. Walk your hands all the way around. And then slowly lift your right leg up. Send it back behind you. And then step your right foot to join your left foot. Come into forward fold. Inhale, sink your hips to the floor. Sweep your hands up. Chair pose. Exhale, stand up. Bring hands to the heart. Let's take the weight into the right foot. Lift your left foot, come into dancer's pose on the other side. So pointing the knee down towards the floor, take your left hand to the outside of your left foot, right hand lifts up. Anchoring down through that standing leg. And then kicking your left foot back behind you into your hand. So nice and strong, keep the lower ribs drawing in. Keep kicking the leg straight back behind you as you lift your right hand to the sky. Soften your face, keep breathing. And then releasing, lifting your left knee up. And then stepping it straight back into your high lunge. So right foot forward, left foot back, inhale, hands to the sky. Exhale, elbows bend, shoulder blades drawn to the back of your heart. 2 more of those. And last one. And then inhale, hands high. Exhale to Warrior Two. Turn your right palm and then lift it into Reverse Warrior. And then we'll come into half moon on the other side. So adjust your block if you're using it, hand down to the floor or the block. Using that sense of pressing down through the right foot and the right hand to anchor yourself. Left heel pressing back behind you. Maybe the left hand lifts to the sky. You can stay here. If you're going for Chapasana, bending your left knee, taking your left hand to the outside of that foot, and then kicking the foot back into the hand. Open your chest and your left shoulder up and back. And keep breathing. If you're still finding your balance in half moon, just be okay with that. So you might even just be tapping the toe on the floor as you build your strength. And then as you come into release your left foot, we're going to step that foot all the way back and find your Warrior Two again. And then Reverse Warrior. Right hand to the sky. Turn your toes all the way to the left side this time and come down into forward fold again. So hands to the hips, soften your knees, take an inhale. Exhale, forward fold. If you found that your back was okay with the last version, You might like to interlace your fingers behind your back this time, draw the heels of the hands together, and then lift your hands up and overhead. Please use your hands on the floor or block for support if this feels too strong for you. Let your neck relax. And keep anchoring down through the outsides of your feet as you lift up through your inner thighs. One more breath. And then draw your hands back towards your sacrum. You can release them to the floor for support if you need to, or slowly use your legs and your core to lift you all the way up. Sweep your hands to the sky, stretch tall. And then right toes turn forwards. Make your way back into warrior two. Windmill your hands to the mat. Step your way forwards to your forward fold. So your left leg lifts. And then step the left foot to join the right foot forward fold. And sink your hips nice and deep. Sweep your hands up. Find chair pose. Exhale, stand up, bring hands to the heart, and just take a few breaths here in mountain pose. You can let your hands rest down beside you again, lift the top of your head to the sky. And let's inhale, sweep the hands to the sky. Exhale, come down through forward fold. Take a halfway lift here, drawing your heart forwards. Nice, slow, mindful movement. Exhale, step your way all the way back to downward facing dog. You can come through a vinyasa if you like, shifting to your plank and lowering down through knees down or toes, chaturanga. Then finding your way back into down dog again. From down dog, we'll take right leg to the sky. Step your right foot forwards between your hands. Come down onto your left knee. And then inhale your hands up into low lunge. And we'll take hands to the heart and take a little twist here. So hooking your left elbow to the outside of your right thigh. Press your hands in towards each other. You might look up over your right shoulder. Feel free to stay in this supported version, slowing the body down a little bit, or you might still feel like you want to strengthen. You can tuck your back toe under and lift your back knee. An option to stay there, or you could open your arms into a more intense twist. Feel free to wrap your right arm behind your back for a little half bind. And coming back to hands to the heart. Take your back knee down to the floor again. Come back to center. Lift your hands up, reach up. And then take your hands down to the mat, but take them on the inside of your right leg. So you can shuffle your right foot out to the outside of the mat. You might turn your toes out slightly. And we'll come into a lizard lunge. So it's the opening through the hips. You might like to come into a little bit of movement in this shape. So you could sway a little bit from side to side. You might like to sway forwards and back a little bit, easing that right hip out after the twist. And if you feel like it, you can come down onto your forearms if you've got the space to do that. Absolutely optional for some of you would be to bend your left knee and take your right hand behind you to take hold of the left foot. Now, if the quad stretch was difficult for you earlier in the piece, then you might want to skip this. Otherwise, this is a slightly deeper version. You can be on your forearm or your hand here, left hand. We'll release that left foot, hands back to the mat, and then slowly ease your right leg back. Come to all fours. You might like to take a few hip circles here, just easing that out, circling in one direction and back the other way. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog again. And we're going to step the left foot through between the hands, drop your back knee to the floor. Inhale up, low lunge. Hands to your heart, take your twist to the left side, so right elbow is hooking the outside of your left thigh. Keep your left hip drawing back, keep your left shoulder rolling open. Option to really squeeze that right buttock, tuck your right toes under, lift your back knee. Smooth breaths. Stay anchored into the floor, inner thighs drawing in and up. Maybe you open your arms. Highly optional. Just invitations to go deeper. And then if you like, left hand might roll behind your back to open up your chest even more. And then you can release it, come back to center, drop the back knee down, inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands on the inside of your left foot. So heel toe your left foot out to the side. Find your lizard lunge. You might drop your back knee a little bit further back. You might like to come into some little sways from side to side, and forwards and back. Just feeling into that left hip. Staying with the steady rhythm of breath. Let that guide you. If you want to come down onto your forearms, that's also an invitation. As is bending your right knee and taking your left hand for your right foot. Opening your chest. And then if you've got the foot, releasing the foot, both hands back down to the mat again. And then very slowly heel toe your left foot back, taking both knees back into all fours and circling the hips. Circle your hips in one direction and back in the other direction. And then from here, we're just going to bring the knees slightly forwards, come to sit back onto your heels. We'll take a little bit of a shoulder opening here. We come into eagle arms, and you can sit onto your heels, or if you prefer, sit up onto a block, or optional, tuck the toes under, sit back onto your heels that way. You can nice stretch through those feet that walk you around all day. Give them a little bit of love. You might not feel all that loving. To stay with it for as long as you can. Let's take hands to the sky, reach up. And then you're going to take your right arm underneath your left arm. So crossing the right arm under the left arm, cross the forearms, either backs of the hands or palms of the hands together. If that feels too much for the shoulders, just wrap your arms around your body. And feeling that space opening between your shoulder blades. So send your breath into the back of your heart. And keep your lower ribs drawn in here. And again, tailbone draws down towards the floor, lower ribs draw in. There's length through the back of your body. And then slowly releasing your arms, take them all the way up towards the sky. If you need to come off the toes, come off the toes. Otherwise, we'll just take it to the other side. So left arm underneath right arm, wrapping the forearms. 5 more breaths here in this shape. Send your breath into the spaces, into the tissues of your shoulders and your shoulder blades. Couple more breaths. And then releasing your arms, take them high. Hands all the way down to the floor, untuck your toes, just give them a little tap on the floor if you've had them tucked under, probably going to feel quite nice. And then we'll just come sit onto our sit bones, cross your legs, and you can come up onto a block or onto a folded blanket if you like here. And you might just have your legs in a simple cross-legged position, left leg in front of right leg. Otherwise, you might cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh if you want to come into slightly stronger variation of this. Just depends on how open your hips are. Hands down beside you, lift up nice and tall. And then as you exhale, if you like, you can start to fold forwards a little way. Just again, really depends on your body. You might feel plenty sitting upright, and so stay with that. Otherwise, you can explore the depth of forward folding here, using your breath. And slowly walking your hands all the way back up towards you. Take your right hand out to the side, lift your left arm to the sky, and then take a side bend over. You can bend that right elbow towards the floor as you reach up and over. Inhale, come all the way back up. And left hand to the floor, right hand lifts up. Side bend. Let's come all the way back up. And stretch your legs all the way out in front of you. Just give your ankles a little bit of a roll in one direction and back the other way. And then we'll swap the feet over. So coming into cross-legged on the other side with right leg crossed in front of left leg, or right ankle crossed on top of your left thigh. Make sure your sit bones are nice and grounded. So sit them up on something if you find your hips are quite tight. Take a breath in and out upright. And then exploring, if your body wants to come forwards, you can start to walk your hands forward and support that descent with your hands. Keep breathing. And just checking whether your face is soft, your shoulders are soft. And then slowly walking your hands all the way back up towards you. And this time we're going to take the right hand behind your back. Take your left hand to your right knee. Inhale up. Exhale, gentle twist. Inhale, coming all the way back to center. And then twisting the other way. So left hand behind you, right hand to your knee. And slowly coming all the way back to center, extending your legs out in front. So stay up on your block if you're in a block. Coming towards the front of your sit bones, extending the heels away from you, soft knees. Take an inhale. Exhale, coming into forward fold. So for you, that might not be very far, particularly if you have tight or injuries in your lower back. Try and keep fairly upright, spine straight. Otherwise, you can start to fold forwards, drawing your heart towards your toes. Paschimottanasana. Reach for your feet if you can take them. If you have a strap handy, you could wrap a strap around your feet and hold on to that. From here, we're going to slowly walk hands all the way back up, lifting your spine, and then bend your knees, take your feet flat to the floor. And roll down to our backs from here, just adjusting yourself on your mat to take your hands down beside you to support you, or you can feel free to take the hands out in front. really anchor your feet down into the ground and see if you can use your core to support you as you roll your spine down to the earth. And as you get all the way down, bring your knees in towards your chest, squeeze them in towards you, wrap your arms around your knees, and a little rock and roll from side to side. From here, we're going to come into a gentle inversion. And so you can take the soles of your feet up towards the sky, and you might just decide to stay here with your hands down beside you for a little bit of support. Knees can be bent if your hamstrings are tight. Just resting with legs up. Viparita Karani. If you want to come into a half shoulder stand, you might be able to bend your knees, lift your hips up, and then just bring your hands underneath your sacrum to support your legs. Your legs might come a little more over your head. But make sure that the weight is not on your neck, so you're on your shoulders, back of your head on the floor. If you need to look, have a look at the screen before you come in so that you're not moving your head in this shape. Some of you, if you have a full shoulder stand in your practice, feel free to lift your hips even higher and walk your hands up towards your mid-spine so that the legs come over your hips and hips over your shoulders. If you're in full shoulder stand, keep your legs nice and engaged. The feet are active, your inner thighs are active, your core is active. Face soft. And belly soft, breath smooth. And feel free to take your feet to the floor behind your head or towards the floor if that feels okay for you. Otherwise, you can just start to bend your knees and slowly roll your spine back down to the floor again. So use your hands on the ground and your core to support you as you roll the spine back down. And then take your feet flat to the floor. You can just let your knees knock in towards each other as your lower back releases down to the ground. And take a couple more breaths here. And then gently press into the feet, bring your knees over your ankles, press into your hands and lift your hips up for a bridge pose. You can lift your hips high, maybe roll your shoulder blades underneath your body, interlace your fingers, draw your knuckles to your heels. And breathe deep into that front body opening. And then letting your hands come back out from underneath you, shoulder blades roll out, roll your spine down to the earth. And take your feet to the distance of the mat. Take your arms out to the sides, and you might bend the elbows into this little cactus shape. And then just let your knees rock to the left and back to center and to the right. So a little windscreen wipering action with your knees. And next time your knees fall to the left, you can leave them over there. You might like to turn your head over your right shoulder and just take a few breaths in this gentle twist. And bringing your knees back to center. Take your knees over to the right side. Perhaps your head turns to the left. And a couple of breaths there. And then knees back to center. Hug your knees in towards your chest and squeeze them in towards you. Just finishing up with this symmetrical shape. And you might like to take some other movements with your body or some other shapes. Make sure that they are symmetrical shapes. There might be a happy baby or feet together, knees wide in reclined butterfly. Anything that feels good in your body right now. Something nice and balanced and centered. And then you can start to prepare yourself to come into a final relaxation, into Shavasana, corpse pose. So extending your feet out to the bottom edges of your mat. If you have a bolster or a pillow, you might like to pop that underneath your knees to support your body as you lie back. And maybe resting something underneath your head, popping a blanket over the top of you or some extra clothing. If you have an eye pillow or a scarf, you can pop that over your eyes and get yourself nice and comfortable for Shavasana. And as you find your way into this relaxation shape, you can take 3 smooth, deep breaths and breathing in deep into your belly. And opening your mouth and letting your breath out as a deep sigh. Make it nice and audible. Maybe there's a to the breath. Last one, see if you can really extend the exhalation. And then just allow your breath to become spontaneous. Relax any control of your breath and allow it to move in and out naturally as best you can. Your eyes can softly close if they're not already. And let the backs of your eyes soften as well. Back of your head heavy on the floor. Your jaw soften and the tops of your shoulders relax. Your whole body becoming heavy and supported by the ground. As best you can, let your hips soften, your legs soften. Feet relaxed out to the sides. Feeling the natural movement of breath in and out of your body. And perhaps a little more attention on the breath out. And so that with each out breath, you melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And with each breath in, you draw support from it. Sensing your intimate connection with the earth. This two-way connection. As it supports and nourishes you, and then you also support and nourish it. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So start to invite some wakefulness back into your body again. You can deepen your breath. Perhaps wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit. Perhaps there's a stretch with arms reaching overhead and toes pointing away from you. And then when you feel ready, bend your knees and roll yourself to one side. Just rest there for a breath or two. And use your hands to support you to lift you back up into a seated position. You can keep your eyes closed. And as you land there, bring the palms of your hands together in front of your heart. Let the palms touch and the thumbs rest at the center of your chest. And just coming back to feel the weight of your body on the ground. Perhaps feeling into your intention. If you set an intention for your practice, or if you have an intention to take off your mat with you today. Maybe the mantra Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May my thoughts, words and actions contribute to the happiness and freedom of all. Be something that resonates with you. And let's take a moment to offer up our practice in some way to someone in particular that needs some positivity or just out into the world. And close it off with an Om together. And so you can listen or you can join in with the vibration, this sound that connects us all. So deep inhale, exhale it out, and then inhale to chant Om. Bring the thumbs to the space between your eyebrows to connect with your own deepest wisdom and insight. Bring your thumbs to your heart for your connection with all beings. Take a bow forwards and honor your connection with the earth. Thank you so much. Honoring you for showing up to practice today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste. If you have any questions at all, please let me know either in the chat or contact us by email or through our Facebook group. And if you can stick around, I'm going to be just heading over to our members page, our members group on Facebook, if you're a member with us, just to talk a little bit more about the practice and the theme of the practice today. And you can head over there, and I'll also be guiding metta loving kindness meditation on our Facebook page and about 11 o'clock. So if you're around, you can hop onto that too. But otherwise, I will catch you soon. Thank you for coming.